Yeah, and I guess we could branch this conversation out into Solar 3.0 as well, since I'd love to get your thoughts on how that is played for all three of the major classes there. But in particular, I think Radiant is a really, really interesting perk to move forward. Like you said, it's a decent damage buff that changes things enough, but not too much to the point where it's becoming oppressive, kind of like Empowering Rift was with certain weapons before Season 17. And I find it interesting that Bungie specifically mentioned Empowering Rift and, with things like Le Monarch and whatnot as being problem children before Season 17 went live and that they wanted to kind of knock that down. But then
What?
kind of gave us a bit of a double whammy there, right? Like, they knocked down Empowering Rift a little, but then gave Radiant to everybody and made it fairly easy to activate.
Yeah,
I
buddy.
find that to be, yeah, I find that to be a rather interesting play.
Everybody gets
It
soup.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a way, like I thought that they were kind of trying to move toward a less ability heavy Crucible.
Oh, no, no,
This
no,
was not the update for that.
no, 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 no.
So yeah, so this was very much the opposite of that, right? Like we've got hunters that are just 100% radiant all the time between melees and dodges.
Yep.
We've got Titans just dropping overshields on their whole team, left and right, dropping overshields to get out of trouble
Yeah,
um,
immediately.
immediately. We've got the warlocks still have the edge in the air, although a lot of them don't want to admit it. Um,
Yeah.
and they're dropping cures more often now, right? They just got buffed. They just got it. It felt a bit
Yes.
haphazard.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a weird buff on abilities that for me were confusing. For some folks that I know that tend to main warlocks more than me, sounds like they were also confusing why these were
Yeah.
the buffs. But they're they're what they are. So yeah, it's
So,
solar feels strong, right? So Void
right.
3.0 felt strong, but what I felt like what Void was strong for was it was like giving you tools to get into a better position to set yourself up more strongly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Solar feels like it's strong for killing everything faster and then immediately getting out of trouble when you make a bad decision.
Right. It is definitely it's definitely got that crutch mode for the insta heals or overshields that it provides. 100%.
Yeah, like healing nades in Rift definitely got me a couple of dunks.
Yeah.
Just straight up
Yep.
ape the Rift, drop a grenade right in front of it, run through.
Run through. And
Yeah.
that's actually kind of a perfect point to bring up there with Rift because I wanted to get your opinions on how Rift with Iron Banner went. But yeah, I think specifically now that we've got the healing updates that Bungie put into effect this past week, I think it's really changed the game in terms of the way cure and healing works in the Crucible. It's so easy to activate now, especially as Warlock. You get so many curing grenades and they're so strong.
Yeah.
That times two cure is pretty ridiculous. And of course, with things like classy restoration and the amount of dodges you get as a hunter, I mean, dodge was already somewhat of a get out of jail free card when it comes to engagements in Crucible. Now it reminds me of the old worm husk days, except it's even worse.
Right. Yeah, you don't need the exotic slot.
Yeah.
You can run a better exotic. Um so yeah, it really has, right? Like the number one takeaway that I have so far from PvP has been there's this rule that I always try to remember. I don't always remember, but I do try. It's don't chase,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's 100% more important now because as soon as they have cover, they are probably healing.
Yep.
And you are going to chase your way straight into a fully healed opponent who is waiting for you.
In a better position than you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are going to be the one coming around the corner. If you don't come around shooting like dead on accurate, that's a lost encounter. And some people can do it. Great, kudos to them. They can chase if they want to. But for the majority of us, if they get away, I don't care if they are like absolute 1 HP, you can't even see the red. Do not chase.
Yeah. That's actually such a huge point for people to follow. I see some people in the chat were asking about particular tips and stuff for Crucible and whatnot. That is a huge one. There is
Yeah.
never gonna be a time in which you get into an engagement with somebody, they break off that engagement, round a corner and run away from you, in which it's going to be worthwhile for you to chase after them. Like Kit just said, because you're gonna get over there. They have already fully healed back to max health, and they probably have a special weapon waiting for you. This isn't COD. This isn't Battlefield where you can kind of pull off that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or you're going to find yourself in their spawn,
Yes.
and somebody else is going to be with them. They're gonna be holding their teammate's hand, like, "Hi, welcome. Welcome. You came to the wrong neighborhood." There has never been a time in which I've chased somebody down and not regretted it. Well, even if I secure the kill, two of their friends just respawn, and now, well, my booty's getting clapped.
It's Wile Coyoteism.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Even when you get the kill, you have now put yourself out of position, away from your teammates. The only time that you chase is when you are closing with support, right? Ideally from multiple angles.
Oh yeah.
So
you got your squad with you?
Yeah. Then sure, chase from two different angles. Do a little pincer maneuver, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. That's not chasing. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about you're 1v1ing somebody,
and they're just running away.
and they're like, they see you and they're like, oh, I'm getting out of here. This guy's too good for me, right? Or you just got the first shot, which is probably what happened.
Yeah.
You got the first shot. They're like, all right, I'm gone.
And
they're making a smart play. Do what they do. When someone else gets the first shot, find the nearest corner and go around it.
Get out of it.
Look for teammates on your radar. Hopefully you're already watching your radar and you know where your teammates are. Go to them immediately. You should have probably been with them anyways.
Yeah.
Do what the person you're chasing is doing. Don't chase them though.
Right.
That's like straight up, like that's worth a solid like 0.5 to 1 KD for most players. If they just do those like two things, like don't chase and run away when someone else shoots you first.
Yep.
It's like magically your KD just goes up.
So I shouldn't run directly into them. Okay.
No, don't run into a firing line.
It's hard, you get excited and you're like, oh, I see red on the radar. I'm going to go see what's going on over there.
You just want to say hi.
Yeah.
You just want to introduce them to, your favorite role that you had that week.
Exactly.
I
do this all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm testing out trinary system right now. I'm like, okay, I've got a super good role. Adaptive fusion rifles usually not good, but
not good.
I've got firmly planted tap the trigger.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I got to try it. I got to see what's up.
I got to firmly plant and tap that trigger.
I'm chasing people and it's just very hard to test.
Yeah. That is, as somebody who's been playing Destiny literally since the D1 beta, I think pretty much everybody here could probably say that. That is still a lesson that I find myself having to actively rehearse when I'm in an encounter. Like, oh, I just outdueled that person, but they lived with a sliver of health. Let me go finish him up. No, stupid. By the time you get over there, you're going to die. You may kill them, but you are going to die. And that's something that I have constantly had to tell myself. And you're right. When that's a lesson that you can master, if you can master, your KD immediately goes up because you stop trading with everything.
I think the same goes for PvE though. Like the amount of times that I have to tell people just plant your feet.
Yep.
Like you planting your feet will save you a lot of the time instead of like trying to jump 4 or 5 times. Like you just sometimes you're gonna miss. Sometimes you're gonna miss. And you take that L. But if you decide to plant your feet, if you make a conscious and confident decision to plant your feet, you'll be much better off.
Yeah, 100% agreed. So do you have a favorite? Yeah. Do you have a favorite Solar 3.0 build yet?
So I am actually really, really enjoying a specific exotic. This is an exotic that I feel like is kind of a sleeper. but it's very, very strong. And that is the Frosties.
Ooh,
I
really?
I hear a lot of people talking about all kinds of different exotics. But the Frosties has been a go-to for me for years. And the reason why is that I tend to sprint to reposition constantly. I get
Yeah.
engagement, win, lose, I'm sprinting immediately afterwards.
Yep.
And Frosties are just free ability regen. And so what it means for me as a hunter is that in almost every encounter, I have either a melee or a grenade. And with solar, they're both ranged, they're both
Yep.
explosive. So it lets me prime or close a lot of encounters. And then I can have my radiant dodge up way faster than
Yeah.
otherwise. And I'm running the fragment for throwing knives, making me radiant as well. So I can have the radiant buff up very, very high uptime. And they really play into that. I'm also right now really trying to lean hard into a more ground based playstyle. I'm trying to avoid those kind of panic bunny hops. Um,
Right.
and these kind of remind me because they give me no airborne effectiveness. So I know that I'm gonna miss in the air. Like whatever I do in the air, it's not gonna work. So I have to play on the ground. And it's a struggle sometimes because I really want to jump and shoot, but I'm learning, and at the very least, I have a grenade.
Yep.
So that's been my favorite so far. Um, yeah, explosive throwing knife, radiant dodge, swarm grenade. I love the swarms and the explosive throwing knife for area control. I like to use them to cover radar if I want to prevent someone from entering a room or punish them
Yeah.
for entering the room. Alternately, it's a great tool for baiting corners and for blocking people off. So
For punishing the people who chase you.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. If you're chasing me, you're getting a throwing knife absolutely to the face.
It is waiting.
Yeah, it's
I-
ready. It's ready.
I haven't thought about Frosties in like 40 years.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like there. You don't have
Yeah.
to. That's the great thing is you don't think about them if you put them on. And I love them in PvE too. Just ability uptime, right? I always have a grenade to throw. I always have a melee to throw.
Yeah.
And especially now with Radiant proccing off of the explosive throwing knife, I feel like it's really
Good.
helpful for squad tactics. I can proc Radiant at a distance without having to dodge, and then I can also dodge to do it, right? So the uptime, man, the uptime is nuts.
Yeah.